So today we're going to be talking about Moscow, Russia. So some of the things that we'll be talking about are where is Russia located, what's it known for, the history, the climate, um, some attractions that are really popular, the 2018 FIFA World Cup, what kind of food they eat, and some of the jobs that they have in Russia, and some sports as well. So, where is Russia located? So, Moscow, Russia is the largest city and capital of Russia, and it's located in the far western part of the country. And the actual name of the city in Russia is Moskva. And when the city was founded in 1147, it was actually called Moscow, and which sounded closer to the present day English pronunciation Moscow that we say today. So the total flight duration, so just to give you an idea, from Canada, if you were to go fly to Russia, it would be approximately 8 hours. And Russia is actually, or I should say Moscow, Russia is 3.2, sorry, 3.22 times as big as New York City. So it's big. So what's Moscow known for? So the city is home to several organizations in the World Heritage Sites and is well known for its display of Russian architecture, and particularly the historic Red Square and buildings such as the St. Basils Cathedral and the Moscow Kremlin, of which the latter serves as the seat of the power of government of Russia, which when I was reading this, I thought was kind of cool to know. So I'm just gonna before I start, there's a little video and I kind of just wanted to just have a little disclaimer. So this is the Moscow metro station, and it's today's one of the world's busiest subway stations, and it's the most famous for its extravagant and unique interior design, and known as the Palace of the People because it's so popular for travel. So I'm just gonna play this. So as you can see, the designs of the interior are really amazing and probably took a really long time to put together, which I thought was really cool. Um, oh, okay. So the history of Moscow. So Moscow has a long history and is named for the river that runs through it, the Moskva. And it began as a medieval city back in 1147 and developed into what was known as the Grand Duchy of Moscow, an administrative region ruled by a prince back in the day. The Grand Duchy preceded the formation of Russian as a nation, which is now the city of Moscow. So usually the weather of like back when I was in Russia, but I was a baby, I my dad and my family took home videos and I it was always cold and it was always freezing. So I never really got to see what it was like when it was warm. So yeah, generally the climate of Russia can be described as highly continental influenced climate, which it can be really warm and dry, and then it can all of a sudden be really cold. So like minus 30 degrees and lower. And sometimes the heavy snowfall too. So the winter is mostly dry snow and covers the ground from the end of October and mid March in some years. So the coldest time of the year is January and the warmest time of the year is July. So attractions that a lot of people go on are mountain bike tours, walking tours, tramway tours. They tour monuments and statues along with the architectural side of things, and art and museum tours. So one top attraction that most people go visit is the Kremlin. And the Kremlin is the second complex in the center of Moscow. So it's overlooking the Moskva River to the south and the St. Basil's Cathedral and Red Square to the east. And oh my gosh, the Alexander's Garden to the west. So that's kind of just telling you where it's located. And so for some history of the palace, as they call it. So the Kremlin Palace is the architectural complex inside the Kremlin walls. So that includes the early 19th century palace design, and the complex now serves as an official residence of the president of the Russian Federation and as a museum with almost 3 million visitors as of 2018, which is a lot. And I can see why now people would go and visit that place because it looks so pretty. And the Red Square is another top attraction that most people go visit. And the Red Square is in Moscow's, and it's the Russian's capital. And it's one of the city's oldest and biggest squares. It's known as one of the most famous squares in Europe and the world, really. So due to its oh my gosh, historical importance and injustice, oh my gosh, I can't speak today. Historic buildings. It is the historic center of Moscow inside the Kremlin's eastern walls. The original Kremlin in Moscow began in 1156 as a wooden structure north of the Moskva River. And the power of wealth expanded by the late 1400s. So back then they had a prince, and Prince Ivan III ordered the area now known as the Red Square, which at the time was a slum or shady town and housing poor peasants and criminals. But now it's a church. So, yeah, that's cool. And again, the interior is so pretty, and that's basically what it's known for as well. And so the St. Basil's Cathedral is in the same location, but it's in a different area of the location, if that makes sense. So the Cathedral of Vasily was built back in 1554 and is also known as the St. Basil's Cathedral. It's an Orthodox church in Moscow's Red Square and one of the country's most well-known cultural landmarks, and it's a big tourist spot too. So a cool fact that I found was, and I didn't know this, the 2018 FIFA World Cup was an international football tournament for men's national teams that was held in Russia from June 14th to July 15th, 2018. It was the 21st FIFA World Cup, so it was a 4-year international football competition. I'm sure it was aired on TV, but I never got to watch. So, what kind of food do they eat in Moscow? So these are more kind of desserts, kind of like a breakfast. So the Polini is considered the national dish of Russia, and it's really all of these desserts are really traditional. They are pastry dumplings, so that's the pastries in the corner, and they are typically filled with minced meat and wrapped in a thin pasta-like dough. And they can be served alone. They can be slathered in butter and topped with sour cream or in a soup broth. So that could kind of actually be lunch too. Um, and the Bellini, similar to the Crespies, if you don't know what that is, it's another kind of pancake kind of breakfast meal. And these traditional Russian pancakes are wafer thin, and they're made from wheat and buckwheat flour and served either sweet or savory with ingredients additional such as jam, sour cream, butter, and caviar. Although they come out of a frying pan round, and it's rare to find them in that kind of shape on your plate. Instead, they're folded nearly into triangles, square, or simply rolled up. So you can really eat them any way, and I think that's really cool. So it's the one at the bottom there. And the last one is the polkchini, or I can't say that. And Moscow's donuts. So yeah, they're donuts. So they are round and can be filled with just about anything, sweet but always served with piping hot and with powdered sugar. So these treats are nostalgic for any Russians as they're easy to make and common comfort food. And if you're wondering for what they have for dinner, they usually are really focused and on their meats. So they have a lot of stews and they have a lot of meat and chicken. So yeah, so that's kind of interesting. So some jobs that they have, and it's I thought this was kind of surprising when I read it. So Russia is one of the most easiest countries in the world to find jobs as a newcomer. So some jobs can include in IT, so in international technology. A lot of people are into the business development, so such as sales, market development, and finance. So investment banking, insurance, finance planning, human resources, so assistant, manager, or a specialist, and medical, pharmaceutical, and teachers, so office assistants or laboratory assistants. And keep in mind too, not all places in Russia are like this, but Moscow is a really big city, so of course you're gonna find jobs like this. I know where I was born in Tomsk, it was really poor, as I mentioned. So they really you wouldn't find a job like this. So they would have more bus driver jobs, or they would have needle women, so women that really like to sew and make clothes for people and kind of run their own stores, so that kind of thing. So you really wouldn't find a lot of jobs in that kind of a poor um, a poor area of Russia, which is unfortunate, but so what sports do people play in Russia? So usually it's football, ice hockey, volleyball, and the
Mm.
biathlon, so that's speed skating, figure skating, and speed skating. Sorry, that was speed skiing. So again, they are really kind of more winterized sports because it's usually more wintry seasons than summer. So you really kind of don't see a whole lot of swimming sports or stuff like that. So that was kind of interesting to also know. Yeah, and a question that I have is would you visit Russia?